get started, if you haven't already, if you can scan in to the QR code just so we have a record that you were here. If you can't because you don't have a phone with you, that's okay. Just make sure that we get your name before you leave. Welcome, it's good to have you here. I'm thrilled. This is a session that I'm actually very excited about. And I know that Shadayvia and I obviously personally have experience as first-gen students, but we both have a passion for working with first-gen students because we do understand that it's a very different road. It's something that you're experiencing if you're first-gen that maybe most students would experience. And in a lot of ways, you don't even know that you're experiencing it, all right? You are going through something that to you is normal, and then like me, you kind of find out later in life, like, oh wow, it really would have been good if this had happened, or I wish I knew about this. That was definitely my experience, and that kind of propelled me into a career in education. And I spent 15 years at a school where all of the students came from poverty. Most of them were first-gen students pursuing a career in college. So I got to work with and help and advise students who also didn't have that support structure. So I was very passionate about it. That brought me here, and obviously we're working with a lot of different students with a lot of different backgrounds. But personally, this is exciting for me. I'm really looking forward to getting to talk with you a little bit about this, getting to kind of know you a little bit here through some of the question and answer, and then for nothing else, just being able to provide some feedback and give you some resources that you can lead with. So if you don't mind, I want to kind of just go around and introduce everybody. I'll start. Again, I'm Dave Curry. I'm the director for the Center for Career Exploration and Development, our new office name. I've been here for about 15 months now. Most of my life was spent in Pennsylvania. I had a cup of coffee down in Maryland, but other than that, I've spent the last 16 months in this area. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be with you. It is you that brought me here, the spirit of the students, the campus, the community, everything, and you're what I came up here to serve. So excited to talk to you today, excited to work with you today, more excited to work with you moving forward. So
I'll introduce myself. My name is Shadayvia Wallace. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm the program director for the MLK Scholar and First-Gen programs. I've been here about a year and a half. I think we started like very close together.
Yeah.
So I come from, I'm born and raised in Syracuse, New York. Like Dave mentioned, by the school's definition, I'm first-gen as well. And then for my story, pretty much, I was low socioeconomic status. We didn't recognize first-gen at my institution at the time, so I would have been part of that first-gen space, but working in higher ed kind of trajected me into wanting to support students like myself, knowing that I didn't have as many resources to navigate college, and kind of propelled me from wanting to go from law school to get a master's in higher ed. And so I started at Lemoyne College as my first institution, and now I'm here. So I'm super excited to talk to you all today.
If you don't mind, I'd like to kind of go around and just hear, name, major, maybe where you're from, if you want to share where you're from, and then, what a little bit about your background and what brought you into this session. Obviously, you don't have to be a first-gen student to be here and learn about some of our resources, but what brought you into this session? We start up front.
I'm Gavin Trusclair. I'm from around Albany, New York, roughly, and I'm a business management and computer science double major.
Okay.
And I'm here because I am a first-gen student, and I didn't even know that this resource was available until about 10, 15 minutes ago.
So we're talking about it. All right.
So,
very good. Welcome. Good to have you here.
I'm Harris. I'm a computer science major, hopefully pursuing a writing minor when I can figure that out. And I'm here because I'm a first-gen student, and my RA, who is also part of the,
First look.
Yeah,
The first look ROC.
Yeah, first look ROC, told me about this, so I registered for it.
Welcome.
I'm Melanie. I'm a senior environmental science student. I'm from Ginsburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We have a career.
We went to high school together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Jim Thorpe's not that big. You have to know.
Yeah. And I'm here because I'm a first-gen student, and Maddie told me about it.
Awesome. Good job, Matt. All right.
I'm Maddie. I'm also from the Albany area. I'm a senior business student with a minor in economics, and I'm a first-gen student, and I just feel like I registered for this because as a senior, I feel like I'm still learning about resources.
Awesome.
I'm Caitlin. I'm a senior marketing major, minor communications. I'm from northern New Jersey, and I'm here because I wanted to learn about more first-gen college students.
Awesome. Hi.
I'm Destiny. I'm a documentary studies and production major with a minor in economics. I'm from Long Island, New York, and I'm a first gen.
I'm Zaria, I'm sophomore, I'm an international student and I have business major in marketing concentration.
Excellent. Welcome.
I'm Chris. I'm a senior sports management major from Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and I'm here just want to learn about first-gen college students, some career guidance.
Awesome. Chris, you're 2 visits away from actually being on our staff.
That's awesome. I'm always
Honorary staff.
I gotta get my numbers up.
Yeah, that's good. You do it. Very good. All right, so we're going to kind of talk through some things here today. Really what we hope to cover is, what are some challenges that first-gen college students face? Again, these might be challenges that you know you're facing. These might be challenges that you don't even realize are challenges at this point in your journey here. We're going to give you some tips and resources. If nothing else, you're going to walk out of here in an hour and you're going to know where you can look for certain things to at least talk through what might be your next steps. And then today's theme, I really want you to know for the majority of you, which are first-gen students, you are not alone. All right, you are not doing this by yourself. You have people that are here and resources for you, and people that genuinely care to work you through this process. I don't know that the term first-gen was even a term when I went to college. If it was, I never heard it. And this is going back to the late 90s or whatever. But I grew up in a situation where my parents never went to college, never even had a career. It was jobs, and they didn't necessarily set the standard for what I should emulate. So when I went off to college, I was introduced to not only a whole new world of things, but didn't really have the supports around to help me navigate that. So in a similar boat, potentially, none of you really have that resource to draw from. So let's talk through some of this today to try to help us out. Ridiculous picture. You have a guy here swinging a golf club and hitting a football. Really just to kind of conceptualize the idea of, if you want to learn how to golf, you don't go to a football coach. If you want to learn how to play football, you don't seek out a golf coach. It's knowing your resources, and you necessarily weren't blessed with all of those resources from what got you here, but now that you're here, knowing who to reach out to, knowing who to connect with to be able to get to the next steps of this journey is important for you. You're navigating college without a community who can relate to daily struggles. That doesn't mean that your community, that your family back home doesn't struggle. They just don't know the struggles that you're going through now.
Like staying up all night to read a paper, or having to write a 23-page paper, or having to do a presentation with somebody you don't like and they're not doing their part of the PowerPoint, and you're like, do your work.
Yeah, it's important to understand that what you're going through, there are other people that have gone through it.
Yes.
But if you're used to drawing from somebody from your family or somebody from home on how to navigate a situation, this is a new situation and not something necessarily that they can give you specific advice. They give you general advice on how to work through certain situations, but that specific advice is not something maybe that's there. My college roommate was, 2 parents that went to college, so when him and I started rooming, I thought to myself, oh, I'm jealous because he has money and I don't have money. And that was the only thing that I really thought of. I wasn't really jealous for having this wealth of knowledge or having mom to call at home and say, I'm struggling, I don't know how to do this, I got this test tomorrow, I got this class I have to drop, I don't have any money, I want to take this girl out for a date, I want to do all of these things, and I can't, all right? I didn't have that, my roommate did, and I didn't even know he did. That wasn't even a thing that I thought was an issue. So when I talk about you not even knowing all of those obstacles, for many of you, that might be something that is a part of your life that you don't even realize is that roadblock. Looking to form healthy relationships without having a model to do that. And this varies. I'm not going to presume that anyone's background is or isn't anything. I know in my situation, I don't know that I got the best example of how to form certain relationships or how to maintain them. That's something that a lot of people bring to the table. A lot of people come to college and they have that skill set, they have that experience. Not everybody does. So learning that is an important part of this journey too. You might have outside factors that are determining the course of your career. You know, this can take a couple different forms. You know, one of the things is, you know, the resources, you know, outside factors in terms of, yeah, I can't afford to take this class. I can't afford next semester. I can't afford this book. You know, how can I pass this class without buying the book for it? I tried that many times. It's not easy, especially in the 90s when you needed a book. There weren't online resources to help you navigate college classes. So, you know, those are things that are a factor. So it's family.
And I was gonna add to that about family for some students. I'm not making assumptions about anybody in the space, but like thinking about like as you're for seniors, if you're going home, do you want to move? Do you feel like the sense of obligation to have to go back to your communities? Things like that other students might not have to think about as they're starting to think about those next steps.
I know that working with a lot of the students that I worked with throughout my career, that was a big factor was, you know, hey, I really want to go to this place, but mom needs me at home. You know, mom needs me to watch the kids, or, you know, hey, I really want to go to this college, but my mom thinks that I should go get, you know, an engineering degree because she said I'm going to make a lot of money with that degree, even though they don't necessarily have all of that information to make that decision for you.
Or even knowing what career paths to go into. Like, I didn't go to college thinking I was going to be a college administrator. Like, when people heard that I was getting my master's, they were like, oh, so you want to be a principal? I was like, I don't like K through 12. I don't like little kids. Like, I want to work with actual adults. So
yeah, and that's a very good point. Is, you know, there's doctors, there's dentists, there's lawyers, there's police, and then there's about 9 billion other things that maybe a lot of people don't know how to advise you on. They don't know how much money it makes. They don't know how safe it is. They don't know what type of work-life balance you can find with it. So, you know, that's a factor as well. You might be the first in your family that you are the first in your family that's pursuing something in this field. I would almost guarantee that with everybody. It is something that you need to find the resources to help to navigate that. That means finding people outside of your family structure. That means connecting with someone from this office to plug you into who is working in that field. That means you going out on your own and finding who that person is and connecting with them and doing a job shadow and finding out some information with them. And then growing a professional network. I didn't know what a network was. All right, there wasn't a network. It wasn't, you know, some people use their network to get them into college. Some people use their network to get them from college into a job. I didn't have a network. My parents weren't helping with any of that. So not through any fault of their own. Their network wasn't going to help me. Their network wasn't the kind that was going to get me into college or get me
or an internship or anything like that. Because my undergrad institution, we had to do an internship every year in order to graduate. We had to get like 150 hours or something like that, but there were students like their mom or dad worked a specific field and they knew somebody that would let them get their internship done, and I had to work extra hard to try to find something in Syracuse, try to get something that's paid. That's a whole nother conversation, but
so a few minutes into this, just a few of those challenges, and without specifying, have any of you experienced any of this in your college journey up to this point, if you're comfortable sharing? Yeah. A little bit. That's okay. Some people experience none of that who are first-gen students, and that's a good thing. It's wonderful. Some people experience all of it, and in lots of different varying factors. Just a couple of things here to point out, and again, this is you. This is the boat that you're in. Typically, first-gen college students seek services less than continuing generation students. Why? Why do you think that is? Yeah.
Well, if I'm making a guess, it's because if you are a first-gen student, even if you're not the literal first one, if you have a sibling or cousin who went to college, you still don't know, if you didn't go to the same college as the person who did go to college as well, you may not know the resources your specific college has that can help you.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, even here, we throw our resources at students, and some of them will still 4 years and graduate and career services on over there.
There are first gen students that don't know they're first gen. They don't know where my office is, which again, my office is a new department, so it's fairly new, but still not knowing that I exist.
Yeah, and that's common. I mean, the other part of that is a lot of times first gen students are very self-sufficient growing up, so they have to do things on their own. You know, if services aren't provided to you, or if you're not taught how to seek services out, and that's a skill, by the way. Finding resources, finding services to help you is a skill that needs to be taught. If you haven't had that growing up, then you don't even know to look for it. You just assume that you're out there on your own. I never asked anybody for anything. I was either too embarrassed to ask somebody because I felt like I should know it, because everybody was going to the office they were supposed to go to, and everybody just knew that they had to go get their classes and register and all of those things, and I didn't know. And I was too embarrassed to tell anybody that I didn't know. And I didn't know that I didn't know half the time. Right? So that's an aspect of this as well, is, you know, sometimes you don't actually know what the services are. You don't know that there are services. First-gen college students work significantly more hours in college, but jobs are much more regularly off campus. So there's two pieces to that. Why do you think that first-gen students work more hours?
Got a lot more support, got a lot more effect.
Absolutely. Whether it's themselves, whether it's you know, family at home. We did a study of this at the school I was at a couple years ago. About 40% of the students that did an internship were sending their money home to family. And these are 17, 18-year-olds. These are high school students. So that obligation to then have to pass along something and maybe have a little bit left over was you know, pretty palpable for young individuals. So for you here, that might be a pull as well. Or it might just be as simple as you just don't have money if you don't do it. So if you don't get a job, you don't have money, you don't get books, or you don't eat, or you don't do certain things. It's more of a necessity typically for first-gen students. And then the other part, you work more regularly off campus than on campus. Any guess why? Yeah.
Because off-campus jobs pay more.
Yeah. Sadly, yeah. I want to keep every one of our students working on campus because I know that the adults on this campus care about them. I know that we can be flexible with your hours. I know that we can keep the focus on your academics. If Vanessa says, Dave, I got this bad, horrible test tomorrow, can I please, you know, get an hour off? Yep, school first, absolutely. And that's across campus. You know, you're working at Trader Joe's, they don't care about your test tomorrow. So me personally, us as adults, personally, we want to keep you all here. We want you to stay focused on your academics. We want you to take finals week off. We want you to, but at the same time, you know what? We get it.
Gotta pay your cell phone bill, gotta get the textbooks and necessities.
We get it. But no, you're exactly right. A couple things with first-gen grads. And for those of you who are almost there, right? We're almost a first-gen grad. First-gen grads get a job that requires a bachelor's degree less often than a continuing generation student. Why is that? Do you guys know what that's called, by the way? When you graduate from college and you get a job that doesn't require a bachelor's degree, you know what that's called? One of my friends in the back. Did I catch you off guard?
I'm drawing a blank, to be honest with you.
Underemployment.
Yes.
Right? So when you are an individual who goes to college, you spend $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, and then you get a job at a grocery store, you get a job you know, doing something that doesn't require the skills that you've attained in college. That's typically referred to as underemployed. Why do you see that more with first-gen students? Why would a first-gen student be more likely to get a job that they are less overly qualified to get? Yeah.
It might be a job like back in the town where they grew up in, where there's not really much else, or it might just be that they didn't really know how to transition into something higher paying.
You hit two good ones right there. It might be that it's back home where there's not a lot of options. Maybe you're working on, you know, a farm. Maybe you're working, you know, in a local grocery store. Maybe you're working somewhere where you're in a town. There's not a ton of options. I need a job now. I got to take care of my family. I graduated from college. I've been spending money for 4 years. It's time that I start making money. I got to get a job now.
Not be just calling you in 6 months.
Yep. Yeah, I got 6 months before I start paying this stuff off. Absolutely. All right, first-gen grads are less confident than continuing gen grads that they could come up with $2,000 if they needed to. I got in a car accident, the bill's $2,000. You know, my cousin had an accident, something happened, I gotta come up with $2,000. Why are first-gen students or first-gen grads less likely to be able to come up with this, even if they have their first job? It's not a trick question, I don't wanna make it like it's harder than it is. They don't have the resources. They don't have the backup. They don't have someone they can call and say, hey, I need $2,000. It feels really good if you can go to bed at night and go, you know what? If somebody needs $2,000, I got it. Right? That was not a feeling I had for the first 25 years of my life.
Shoot, I'm 29 and
Please don't ask me for it now.
Don't ask me today.
Yeah, it is very difficult when everything that you own is in your pocket or in your bank account. And if something goes bad, you gotta pay a bill, something breaks, then you don't have a backup. All right, my kids, they have that. They have me. All right, I worked really hard so they would have that. And I don't know that that's a good thing, quite frankly, because I think that if you don't have it, it makes you very resourceful. All right, but this is just kind of one example of an illustration where you have fears. All right, you have a daily feeling of like, oh shoot, this better not happen or I'm kind of out of luck. All right, that is a sense of stress that not everybody has. And then more first-gen grads take jobs after college instead of pursuing grad school. All right, are any of us thinking about grad school at this point? Good, awesome. Why would a first-gen college student not even consider grad school? Yeah.
It's really expensive.
Well, they are really expensive. And what does grad school mean?
You're not making money.
Yeah, I just did this for 4 years. I need to start making money. I need to get a job. As much as I want to get that job, that's gonna have to wait because right now I gotta start bills in a couple months.
Right.
All right, that's exactly right.
Being a first gen grad student is a whole nother. That's where I felt very first gen.
Yeah.
During my grad years, I did not know how to navigate graduate school at all.
Yeah.
I had no support.
Graduate school has less support.
Yes.
Graduate school usually has less resources because, again, if you make it to that point, it's just assumed that you know how to navigate it. All right, and that's not the case at all.
Oh, I just wanted to put this little plug. I am working collaboratively with the Center of Ideas and Thinking About Money. We are doing a First Friday on March 3rd from 5 to 7 over in the Clark Lounge. We are discussing how to save, how to build up that savings so that way one day you can have that $2,000 cushion. So we're gonna have a guest speaker. We're also gonna have dinner. So please, if you're interested, definitely come out. So.
Will this be emailed or?
Yes, yes, I'll email it to you.
Oh, okay.
So,
And everybody that registers for this, we can
I can
make
send
sure
that
to
out.
send this to. Awesome. So just to talk about a couple of things, those were kind of the issues that a lot of first-gen students go through. Now we want to share some of the resources, all right? So we'll talk first about the Career Center. Again, I don't know if we had a Career Center. To this day, I don't know. Maybe I can Google it and find out if University of Pittsburgh 1999 Career Center. I don't know. It probably didn't. Maybe it did. I spent 4 years there
They did.
and I never found it. I'm sure
Not it did.
I know they have one now because they ask me for money all the time. But
There you go.
there's a lot of things that a Career Center can do that I didn't even realize it can do. And there's a lot of things that we want to do with you that maybe you don't realize we can do or are able to do. Right? We're pretty skilled here. We're able to do a lot of things that maybe you don't realize we're able to do. Some of the things that we do are the obvious. We help you find a job. So if you're a senior, you're getting ready to launch, we can help you find a job. We can help you find an internship if you're a sophomore, if you're a junior, whatever stage in the process you are, we can help you with that. We can help you choose a major. All right, so if you are still trying to figure out that piece of things, or if your mind has changed, you're a year or 2 or 3 years in, and you're thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, I talk about this from time to time. I knew what I wanted to do until I was halfway through my senior year of college. And I spent 2 hours in my internship, and I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. All right, that's scary. That's scary. I wish that I had somebody that at some point in that process that said, Dave, why do you want to do this? Just once. My parents didn't know to ask. They were just happy I was in college. They didn't even care if I graduated from college. They were just happy I was there. They thought that was awesome. Right? But I certainly didn't have anyone else around me, friends or family. None of them had graduated college. So none of them knew to ask, hey, Dave, I get that this is your major. I get that this is what you want to be. Why? I truly, to this day, don't know how I would have answered that. I really don't. It's funny to think back on. I'm like, I don't know why I wanted to do that. That wasn't me. Right? That's something that we can do with you. We can sit down and say, why do you want to do this? Because sometimes that's a question that you don't know to ask. Sometimes that's a question that maybe no one's ever asked you because they don't know to ask through no fault of their own. So your major, picking an occupation, obviously building a network. All right. Again, I didn't have a network. Every network that exists in my life right now has been built by the people that I've connected with from age 23 on. All right, that's my network. And we can help you with that. We can help you prep for interviews. We can help you negotiate salaries when we get to that point. We do a bit of everything in grad school, all right? If you're applying to grad school, we can help you with a grad school search, help you put all your materials together. We spend a decent amount of time at different times of the year doing that with students. Creating a 4-year plan, which I'm gonna talk briefly in a second here about a 4-year plan, learning about yourself, learning about careers. None of those things were a part of my development in my career journey, none of them. And I don't stand up here and like pity me about, oh, it's too bad, all right? It's just the reality. I'm better off for it. It made me much more self-sufficient. So you're not at a disadvantage in that sense as a first gen. You're very resilient. You have a skill set that employers want, and I'll talk about that. You are a part of something that is special, and it makes you special, the fact that you're here. However, these are some of the factors that play into it. You know, learning about yourself, knowing what questions to ask, and navigating that process. Here are some specific things that we can guide you through. And again, this is for any student. So these are things I would say to any student, first gen or not, whether you know you're a first year or a senior or a grad student. These are all things to consider as you work through this process. All right, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and then we're going to have you do a little bit of your own reflection on this. So first and foremost, thinking about where you want to work and live and where you see yourself. Okay, it's not just a matter of I want to be a dentist. Okay, where do you want to be a dentist? All right, what does a dentist make in Omaha? What does a dentist make in New York City? What are the benefits like in different parts of the country? Not just the medical benefits, but what are the locale benefits? You know, I'm 22 years old and I don't know anyone in a city. What do you want that city to have? Do you want it to have nightlife? Do you want it to have mountains and streams? All right, so the location piece. Do I want to go close to home? All right, I knew that I did not. My wife knew that she did not want to move where I was from. That was one of 2 places that she said I could not apply for a job. The other was Ohio. Don't take that personal if you're from Ohio. All right, but I could not move back to Erie, and I could not move to Ohio. Anywhere else in the world was fine with it. All right, I had no interest in moving back home. Some people, that's exactly where they want to go, and that's okay too. That's okay too. There's reasons for all of it. All right, the importance of a salary or earnings. This varies by person. Some people, if you ask them, and I'm not going to judge one way or the other. If you ask them, you say, salary is very important, I want to be rich. Okay, all right, if that's the most important thing for you, then there's a lot of other considerations that we would talk you through, right? But if you say that salary is not important at all, you just want work-life balance, or you just want, you know, this or that, right? It's a factor. For first-gen students, many of which are self-sufficient, it's a big factor. It is a big factor, at least in your mind. So talking through whether or not that's a factor as you consider a career is important. Your work environment. Anybody know what the most searched word was in Indeed last year? Anybody know? It's the word remote. Right? Where do students want to work right now?
Remote.
Yeah, in their PJs, laying in their bed. Right? And that's not a bad thing, right? 1 day a week, all right? My team works in their PJs. I don't know if they're laying in their bed or sitting, I don't know what they do, all right? But they work from home. Why? Because it's desirable. It's nice to roll out of bed with your PJs and get your coffee and start working. I roll out of bed and I get out of my PJs. I have to do all kinds of getting ready, right? I got to shave every day, and then I have to drive 45 minutes, and then I have to walk through the cold. So your generation, you're like, screw that. Get out of bed and work, and that's okay. Some people are like, I don't want anything to do with that. I need people. I need interaction.
I am that person.
That's Shadayvia.
I do not like, that's why I'm glad my office is set up the way it is, so students can come by and speak to me and distract me. I do not do well. I can do remote, like I'm okay with it, but I wouldn't want a fully remote job. I don't see myself personally living in like a rural area, like Ithaca College. I like some city, like not as big as New York, but Syracuse provides that city and like that after work community that I want.
So Shadayvia is a perfect example. She drives here an hour every day to be around you. She doesn't want to sit in her peace. She wants to be here with you, but then she also doesn't want to live here. She wants to live in Syracuse. That's where she needs to be. So those are considerations that she has made. As you think about your work environment, what's ideal for you? There's a lot of options out there now. Ask this 4 years ago, and it's different. Ask this 3 years ago, almost to the day. This question 3 years ago, there was a handful of people working remote. A handful. with very specific jobs. Right now, many careers can exist in a remote or hybrid format. So consider what's good for you. Multi-passionate, and I'm gonna point to my friend John back there. Actually, everybody sitting back there who
Yeah.
works here, they have multiple passions.
It's true.
All right, they do this because they love you. They do this because they love this place and this environment, and they love coming here. But they also like playing instruments. All right, they like working with kids. They like doing different things that fill them up. So whatever you don't get from a job that you pursue, how else are you gonna find that? All right, how do you take your passions and your interests and your skills and apply that to a career? But then also, if you can't find everything that you love in that career, where else do you get that? How do you supplement it? Is it volunteer work? Is it, community
Sorority or
work?
fraternity.
Yeah, is it other community related organizations like that? All right, those are things to consider. And then something else, and this is for everyone, but I will say, particularly for this group, how to navigate rejection. And I will be the first to tell you that over the course of my career, I've probably not gotten jobs more than I have gotten jobs. I remember applying to be a teacher many years ago as a social studies teacher, and I took my wife's advice everywhere but Erie and Ohio. I applied everywhere but Erie and Ohio. I got 2 responses on 1 interview, and I didn't get that job. Okay, that's hard, especially when you feel pressure, especially when you feel that there's no other option. All right, navigating that rejection is important. What you take from that and how you apply that to the next opportunity is critically important.
And I can say for myself, on this previous journey getting here, it took me 10 months of job hunting to get this job. I literally was interviewing for weeks on end, would get the second round, would get the third round, would take off from my previous job to spend all day on Zoom just to be told no for like 6 months straight. And my previous supervisor, so he left before I did, and so he just so happened to see it probably on LinkedIn or something, and he told me about this job, and I was like, I'm gonna try. I think they're gonna tell me no, but I really liked the conversation that I had with the hiring manager and coming to campus, and they were my one yes, and that's the one yes that you need through your journey. So.
It's a very unique market right now. Finding jobs looks different in different industries. Sometimes you find a place and it clicks and it happens right away. Sometimes it takes a little more effort. All right, but you have to know that you are on a journey, and it's important to know that when you don't have other people telling you that. We will tell you that. If you get a rejection, come to the office, okay? We'll air hug you, and then we'll talk it out. All right, we'll figure out what comes next. So we're gonna have you reflect a little bit now. I'm gonna turn it over to Shadayvia to kind of walk you through a little exercise.
Yeah, so if you guys have paper or want to use your phones or something, I just wanted you all to spend some time thinking about, like, what are your passions and interests? Where do you see yourself? Do you want to be in like a city? Do you see yourself living in a rural area? Like, what is like the ideal work environment, like we mentioned earlier? What type of career do you want to pursue? Do you want to be in education? Do you see yourself working in law? Do you see yourself being a volunteer, working in the social justice sphere? And just where do you want to live? Do you want to go back home and be closer to family? Do you want to be like across country to like California or something like that? I want you guys to spend some time thinking about best case scenario, your perfect situation. So I'll give some time for that.
Do you anybody need a piece of paper?
We have paper.
Paper.
Yes.
We have pens.
And we have plenty of pens.
Lots of cow pens.
Yes.
Please. And cow squishy. You want a cow squishy? We want a pen.
We'll give y'all what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, we have
7
5
minutes.
minutes. Vanessa, I love that you're wearing that. Just casually in the back. She's not up there doing cartwheels.
Right.
She just threw it on. She's selling it. That is, that is committed.
Me, I would hate it. I would hate to be like a lab situation. Like quiet. I have to play music in my office.
Be cool for a day or two.
But also, I can't have a and be like, whoa. Then you're gonna be like, did you do your work? And be like, you know what?
Just keep showing up.
They just keep.
Anybody need anything to write on? Oh, you gotta think about that.
Sorry, I
No,
didn't.
no, no. It's a grad magazine. So anybody looking at grad? You write on anything? You good? You good? Welcome. Anybody else something to write on?
Like the big thing that I asked during the meeting,
Got it.
I just don't, the thing that,
And everybody keeps to this day
yeah,
asking,
but I'm can't take you. They're just I'm sorry to hear that I'm saying
but
excuse me that.
actually, when I did my song in grad school,
Because if I wasn't getting these songs off,
and so when we did assignments, we had to like
yeah,
Very rare thing.
Yeah, it's a good exercise. Sometimes I'll set like that.
Oh,
I'm gonna set it down. Where?
you almost didn't get
This is so
You almost didn't
I'd say, in other places, in the chairs, far side cartoon.
That's like basic. It's a good one. And what is that for? I saw the Instagram picture there. I think there's something about
You don't even have to think about staying in the U.S. either. Like I have a friend, she got her master's in fashion design in Paris. I went to go see her graduate last year.
In Paris?
And IFA, I forgot what the acronym stands for, but yeah. It took her like it took her an extra year because of COVID, and then the process to be an international student was a lot. So it took her like 3 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
East or West? Good program.
It's kind of like the International Fashion Academy or something like that.
West.
Gotta say, PTO. Like you said, Paris.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. It's
So
probably a
I'm
great
from-
program.
yeah,
Like working
very
best of
good
the
now.
best there.
So, but our league, because we were a big school, played a lot of Ohio and Pittsburgh teams at school. And we almost got to play Central Bucks West. And lost on our last minute touchdown. I can't say I like that too much. No, I can't imagine. There was some year, a recruiting trip last Friday from, was it Council Rock? Yes, yes.
I was in the weight room.
Oh, okay.
I saw one
Cool.
and I was like,
Yeah.
exactly, because that was the only school I was
That's your area. I applied, that was one of the many schools I applied to, that was one of my 2 interviews, and found out there were 1,000 other people. Like I got there's a
It's somewhere warm.
Oh, see,
Oh, really?
that's the kind of thinking I like.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Really?
But
You can also think about it like if you see yourself having like a family one day, or do you want to live in like a fancy condo in New
The name
York?
sounds
so
familiar.
there's 2 freshmen.
The
Yeah.
world is really
It's pretty cool.
At least twice.
It's a nice area. My,
One of my best friends last time I was there for 3 years.
with Doylestown.
It was when the youngster was still there.
I'm from
She's from Doylestown, but she
Del Valle.
Monster. She's like, got me through one of those.
But yeah, that's
Oh, mushroom comes.
which Doylestown?
Dublin, Ferguson. That's right. It's like
They do that in the.
Del Valle. It's not top touch.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's 5 minutes away from
But it was just,
which is like, yeah. So like, I didn't go there. Like, that's where my all-star game for like high school. It's like that.
Was there?
It's like, it's like,
We used to work with them.
yeah.
One of them.
They have like 2 D-line, at least as of last year, that were like top 5. Like, some like crazy. And they were just like, this is
Yeah, I saw they finished, they actually finished a place or 2 higher than us.
yeah, like in the rankings. It's crazy. crazy though, because like, no one really talks about it. And I'd be like, I feel like I would have known if I was like,
Oh, how terrible.
like 10 minutes away from like one of the top 10 like D3 schools. So it must have been just like recent.
Yeah, they weren't always ready.
They
weren't always
on the
Yeah.
I like
Another minute?
it was like, man, you guys. Incredible. Yeah, we only take it's like by myself.
All right, everybody, we're gonna come back together. All right, so thank you all for humoring me. We're gonna give you, like, if we get like 1 or 2 people to share what they wrote. Again, this is like best case scenario, manifesting your best life. How would it look?
No wrong answer.
Exactly.
I want to have some kind of like a career or job in the tech sector, helping to build applications that help people in some way, shape, or form. I've been doing charity work most of my life. I'd like to continue that forward. And I'd like to live in some kind of small town or city, like relatively close to home. That way, if an emergency occurred, I could be there. But I don't want to be there. If that makes sense. Like,
That
for
makes
7
sense.
hours.
Like you can drive or you
Yeah.
can take a train or something.
And like probably somewhere fast paced and with a decent enough work environment where you can be hybrid both from home or in an actual office with other people.
I think I saw somebody.
So I want to be a traveling documentarian.
Me too.
Sounds
Sounds awesome.
Yes, and at first I want to work in Georgia because that's like the southern Hollywood, or LA because that's
Hollywood.
so either those 2 states. And I want to be on set, like working in the field and like behind the scenes work. So probably like a fast-paced environment where I can be like on the forefront of working like in the filmmaking industry. And I want to start as like a production assistant or editor, and then work my way up to be like my own independent traveling documentarian and just tell stories around the world.
Yeah, so having the ability to have like growth within a company is important to you. Harris?
I just said that it was pretty simple. My preferred ideal job is specifically to be a game developer or programmer because my passion or interest is like, I really like stories. I like reading them, and that's all. I also am trying to develop my skill in writing them, at least character-wise. And I would prefer a non-traditional type of office, so something non-cubicles, like more like fun, more collaborative, but like I can, and also allows me to do hybrid in terms of if my mental health is not so great, so I don't have to be forced to work with people.
Yeah, I have a sorority sister. She works for Mattel, and her office looks so cool. She just moved over to LA. It's super cool. They have like all these different, like the way their desks are shaped. They have these like cars that they can sit in that are like in the building. Like it's really cool. Did anybody else want to share what they wrote down? Sure.
So I said that I would probably like to work, I want to be a screenwriter.
Okay.
So like my ideal workplace would be like something that the environment is like constantly changing because the film is always unexpected.
Okay.
But like you kind of keep up with it, you know. And the people are nice and friendly. I'd like to work in like a writer's room, but also I would like to do other hands-on stuff too, like on set. Possibly like in New York or even Germany. I want to go to Berlin for grad school maybe. Yeah, that's it. Oh, also New York. Wait, did I say that?
Yes, but that's okay. But I was hoping with this exercise that it gets your wheels turning and that you're taking the information that Dave has already shared with us and recognize that this is going to change. Like where you are now in life, it's going to change, and be okay with that. Your ideas and your desires changing as you evolve and get older. So.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful segue. You know, it's important that you understand that you really are on a journey right now, right? And whatever you just wrote down, if I were to ask you that question again in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months from now, you may be writing very different things. Because as you learn something new, as you take a new class, as you join a new club, as you meet a new friend, right, as you watch a new show, right, all of those things will factor into who you are at the different phases of this process. And while you're here with us, this is something that we can kind of talk you through, all right? We can give you ideas of how you can take what your personal thoughts at that time are and apply it to your career journey. What can you test out? What can you try? What can you explore as you look to pursue what that thing is now, all right? And it's also important for people to know, not just first-gen students, not just college students, not just students, humans right now, to understand that whatever you're doing now or whatever you're a part of now doesn't have to be what you do for the rest of your life. That is actually something that exists now for you, at least that mindset, that didn't exist even 10 or 15 years ago. It's something that for some of our generation, where we learned, hey, you want to go to college and get this degree so that you can get this job, so that you can work there for 45 years, so that you can retire from that place and then die or whatever. I don't know what the goal is. I don't know what the end result was supposed to be. I just know that that was the story that we were told. And many parents out there who are working through this process with their students, whether they went to college or not, many of them are still of that same mindset. That, hey, you better get this degree so that you can get this job, so that you can work for this company for the rest of your life. And that's not how it works, all right? So I want that to relieve a little bit of maybe some of the pressure that you might be feeling, whether that's coming from home, whether that's coming from TV, whether that's coming from whoever, that the decisions that you make now are based on who you are now. And the decisions that you make tomorrow will be based on what's happened between now and then and how that's changed you. And that's okay. So as we help you with that, we kind of work through a plan in this office, all right? And this is no matter where you're at in the process. Who are my first year students in here? Beautiful. Sophomores? Juniors? Seniors?
Yay.
All right, no grad students this time, that's okay. So, no matter where you're at in the process, we can help you to navigate what you think you want to do, and we'll give you some thoughts on what you can do to get there. All right, we'll help you to give some next steps for that. If you're a first year student or a senior, this applies to you. Okay, if you're ready to launch and you haven't done any of these things, now is when you start. Okay, so even though this is listed under year one, this is the ideal. All right, we want to get you, I want to see you in this office, okay? We want to get you in the door as soon as you get to campus, and we want to work with you through 4 years. But if that hasn't happened yet, we want to work with you now, okay? It doesn't matter where you're at. We want to make sure some of these basics are taken care of, that you have a resume, that you have a cover letter, which, by the way, if you have a resume, a man back there is running a resume contest. $75 to the winner, all right? Due by Friday, or Thursday at midnight?
Thursday at midnight.
Thursday at midnight. There's a sign up that's gonna pop up on the screen every once in a while.
QR
the
code's
table
over
too.
here, yeah.
You cannot lose, okay? Because if you send it and you don't win the $75 and you can't buy the hoodie from the campus store with it, then you're at least going to hear back from us on some critique of your resume, and it's going to be an invite to come in and meet with us so that we can walk through it with you, okay? Those things are, whether you're a first year or a senior, those are important things that you individually right now sitting in front of me can work through, all right? Finding out what matters to you, exploring what careers exist, all right? You have a major, everybody in here has a major, all right? Most of you in here probably have a major, all right? That's tied to a set of careers, in your mind at least, all right? You're thinking about, what do I do with this major? You have a major because there's a career in the end of that, all right? We can help you to connect those dots a little bit. All right, whether you're a sophomore or a senior still on this step, right? That's okay. We want to work with you. We want to update that plan, all right? Whether we meet with you once every couple months or once a year, whatever that is for you, your plan changes. So we got to update that every time that you come through. You want to build some skills out through the different things you can do here on campus. How many different student orgs are there right now?
At least 40 plus.
Yeah, so we got, I mean, tons of student orgs, tons of opportunities to do things that you think you might like, all right? There are student work opportunities,
Yes.
summer opportunities through internships, ways to build up that resume. Most importantly, these are ways for you to test out things that you think you like, okay? My jobs in the summer throughout college were at like a gas station and landscaping, like good jobs. It's what I needed, it paid the bills, all right? Didn't look good on my first career resume. You're trying to become a teacher and you landscaped a cemetery, they don't really care. all right? It also didn't tell me whether or not I wanted to be a teacher. You know when I found that out? The first day of my student teaching, all right? That was the first time I got to test it out. That was the first time I asked a teacher about their career. That never happened prior to that. So if you want to do an internship in that area, it's not going to be teaching, but you can get an internship working with kids. You can get an internship at Boys and Girls Club or at a community center. We're doing some things that will give you an idea of, actually, it turns out I don't like kids. Maybe I should not be a teacher. All right, the earlier you can do an internship or a work-related experience that is associated with the area you're interested in, the more you're building your resume, and the more you're finding out whether or not that's what you want to do.
And I have a quick story. So my first internship that I did, because I graduated with a political science and history degree, and I was dead set. I'm going to law school, I'm becoming a lawyer. That's what my family saw for me because I like to talk and argue. So I knew going into college that's what I wanted to do. So my first semester internship was at the DA's office in downtown Syracuse. And I hated it. I was like, the ADAs are overworked. They have to spend god-awful amount of time doing filing. They are stressed out. I'm like, this is not what I want to do whatsoever.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar story. Senior year, you spend 2 hours in the Dauphin County District Attorney's office working with all of the sex offenders of Allegheny County. You find out whether or not you want to work with criminals for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And my answer then was, I don't want to.
Yeah, I was like, I can go to another law, but I don't want to go. I would never do criminal law. I was like, no.
Yeah. So now,
Yeah.
I want that to also inform you on, that was an experience that not only told me what I didn't want to do, but it made me really reflect on, what do I want to do? I actually really like working with people. I just felt like I couldn't help those people as much as I wanted to. So that's when I said, you know what? I could help these people when they were kids. Maybe I want to work with kids. And it turns out I actually like working with kids. All right. So those are important experiences, whether it tells you do want to do something or it tells you don't want to do something. So keep that in mind for the summer after. You know, some do it summer after the freshman year, some after the sophomore year, some after the junior year. All right. Wherever you're at in the process, consider doing something to test your skills. As we get into the junior year, it's getting a little more serious. Oddly enough, the junior year is when we have the least amount of engagement with our students. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. We need you here more than ever as a junior. This is when the decisions are getting made. This is when that internship, which might lead to your first job, is going to happen. Right? This is when you are finalizing plans, when you're starting to search for grad schools, when you're looking for the city that you want to live in. We need you in here during that time so that we can talk you through some of those things. All right? Joining professional associations, looking for leadership opportunities, again, building your resume, getting experience doing things that employers want. I can't tell you how many entry-level positions we look at that require what? Experience. 1 to 3 years experience doing. How the heck are you supposed to get experience if you haven't even graduated yet? Well, through organizations where you can test your leadership skills and your managerial skills, right? Where you can learn how to collaborate. And where
You can still
learn how
have that
to-
support from an advisor.
Yes.
Because all the clubs have advisors.
Exactly. So this is the time to do it, all right? And then the senior year, obviously, you're getting down to it, all right? We've had many conversations this week with seniors, at least I have, who are like, hey, this is great that you're doing this, I appreciate it. You know, in all honesty, I haven't done anything yet, I need some help, okay? That's okay, all right? That person who came to me, the other day that I'm thinking about right now is further along than I was at that point. All right, I needed that same help and I just didn't go find anyone. All right, so it's not too late. We are excited to work with the seniors that are ready to launch, just as we are to work with the first year students that are just getting their feet wet and figuring out what they want to do with the next few years. All right, so wherever you're at in the process, even if you're a senior, we want you in the office. I don't know if we have time for the next activity.
No.
We got the last couple minutes.
Yeah.
We'll do an activity with you the next time you come in if you would like. But again, we really do want to bring you in to talk through some of those things so that you can get a better sense of why you're at the stage you're at and where you want to go next. All right, I talked through this a little bit in most presentations that I'm in, whether it's with students or with parents. I know most of my colleagues are going to mention this at some time because this is important for you to know, all right? This just happens to be where we're at in our progression of the workforce in America. This is what employers want in college graduates. And we know this because an organization that we are a part of called the National Association of Colleges and Employers, they get together, the colleges, the employers, the people that are getting you ready, and the people that are going to hire you. They get together and they say, what do you want? What do you want us to do here to prepare our students for you? And you know what the employers tell them? This, okay? These are the top 8 things that they want from you. Notice on this, it doesn't say anything about a technical skill or a degree area that they want. And this is for most jobs, okay? Now, if you're gonna be an engineer or structural engineer or something, they want that too, okay? They want this, but they also want that, all right? There's certain things that you need a certain degree so that there's proof that you can definitely do the things they need. For most careers right now, this is what they care about. A degree is important. An Ithaca College liberal arts degree is powerful because it tells all employers, you have this. You've taken classes, that will give you this. You've had experiences, that will give you this. You come to Ithaca College, many of you, because you either already have this or you want it. And this is the place that you can make it grow, okay? These are the reasons that yesterday 80 employers came here looking for you. And every one of them that I talked to, I asked that question, why are you here? What brought you to Ithaca College? Those are the answers, because your students give us those skills. And some of them were flat out honest when they said, we're not recruiting at Cornell, we're not recruiting at Syracuse, I'm sorry, all right? We come here, okay? You are first-gen college students, which means that you have a skill set that is wrapped in those skills, all right? You have been critical thinkers. You've had to be, whether you wanted to or not. You've been resourceful. You've had to problem solve, all right? You have had to do all of those things or been a part of all of those things to get you to this point. You are highly marketable because of that. A couple other resources, and again, we can share these with you as well. You know, Shadayvia will obviously gladly have you. You know, if you haven't already connected with Shadayvia, please make sure that you do before you leave. But do you want to talk about the First Mentor Program?
So in talking about building up your networks, the First Gen Center, we actually have faculty and staff here on campus who are First Gen themselves and are willing to serve as mentors. So if you're interested in gaining a mentor, getting that connection, you can go online and check out everybody's bios, and I can make that connection for you. Additionally, my office is hosting an Alpha Honor Society. It's an honor society specifically for First Gen who have a 3.2 or better. My goal is to have our first induction ceremony this semester, and seniors are allowed to participate as well. I have your information too. So you'll be receiving a letter from my office about the qualifications. So.
Yeah, so financial aid guidance, we have that help here too if anybody needs that. Our career center supports are vast. You can come in at any time and ask questions. We're available, ton of resources. Our website, I'm not going to necessarily walk you through the website, but tutorials, resume samples, specific to the careers that you're pursuing so that you can kind of get an idea. If you don't have a resume yet, go on our website and you'll get ideas of how you can create a resume that aligns with what you want to do. Videos, this video, and all of the other things that we're doing this week is going to be up on the website so that you can check that out at some point in the next couple days. Some of the things that we use with students to point them in the right direction wherever they're at in this process. All of the different networking resources. You know, we help you set up a LinkedIn account. We help you set up a Handshake account, which you all have here. Both of those are free. Career Shift is another resource we have where people can post jobs. Handshake, people come to this campus or send us their job openings to send to you specifically. Last year, Handshake posted 132,000 jobs just for IC students. That's how many jobs were posted for you. So
and
those are
internships.
Resources. Say it again?
And internships.
And internships, yep. Fellowships, opportunities for you to make money. All right? opportunities for you to gain employment. Those are things that don't happen at every college. This is your team. I think we're all here, actually.
We are all here.
Right? We are all in some form here.
We're here.
Right? We have our PCAs, we have our staff here.
Our mascot.
We have our Vanessa. She wears that even when it's not cowboy. It's just a fun thing for her. We are all
That's
here to
commitment.
support. We want you to know that we know the journey that you're on, okay? We don't know your journey, and we're never going to pretend to know exactly what you've been through. That's not something that we want to try to do. But we do know that you're on a journey. We know that it's a hard journey, specifically for your first-gen students. We want to be able to talk you through that. We want to be the resource that maybe you haven't reached out to yet. Between Shadayvia, myself, this team, we want to be someone that you maybe didn't know about before today, that hopefully you come back to and connect with us so that we can be a part of the next couple years of your journey. And that journey, for us, continues throughout life. So if you are a graduate here in a year, a couple months, are you May? Are you a May? Yeah, get it. All right. Or in a couple years, all right, you leave us, and maybe in a couple years you say, you know what, this degree thing has been awesome. I want to go do something else. I want to go to grad school. I want to pursue this or renegotiate my salary. We're still here for you. Okay. That's something that we want to establish with you now before you leave, so that you know it's always there for you.
And then additionally, my office is conveniently located like a few steps away from the center. So I am upstairs in Edward Hall 339, so I'm right next to the Center of Ideas and across from debate. So if you ever need any additional support within classes or just navigating resources outside of the center, please feel free to come by. I love having visitors. It distracts me from my everyday work, so please come and visit.
Does anybody have any questions before you go? Okay.
What's one takeaway that somebody has?
One takeaway that I got is that no matter which point you are throughout your career, there's always something you can do to work towards your goal.
Absolutely. So true. So true. Yeah.
I was afraid, at least over the course of the last semester, a little bit now, that like a lot of the resources that I saw exist in other places weren't here. It turns out I just didn't know how to find them.
And honestly, that's a very common thing.
Amongst everybody.
Yeah, there will be students that graduate here after 4 years, and they'll still not know where the Career Center is, even if they've walked by it every day. And that's not a knock, that's just a reality. You know, we're not always looking for things that we don't know are there. So even if they walk by it, they're not looking for a Career Center, so why would they look for it?
As a first-gen student, you might not realize the additional resources. My office, I do programming specific for first-gen. I try to build connections, social capital, leadership opportunities such as the Honor Society. So it's just just additional support, so that way you're not feeling alone in this journey. So.
Awesome.
Oh wait, this is not to do with this, not a takeaway, but I have a question for you, Shadayvia. Is it
Okay.
okay if I ask you after?
Yeah, that's fine.
Any other questions, any other thoughts? We appreciate you being here. We are
Yes.
glad you're here.
Yes.
If you did not already scan in, just so we know who you are and we can reach out to you, you can reach out to us easier, please do that. If you didn't take a cow squishy yet, they're going, okay?
Gotta take
So friends are gonna ask about it, they're gonna see where your cow squishy is, you're gonna wanna have it. There's pens. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What's going on?
Move.